All right. And we are live. Welcome everyone to IndieMation Fest 2025. So this is this new idea we have. We want to really celebrate independent animation. We're all super passionate about it. We want to promote indie animation. We want to talk about indie animation. We want to hear from the creators. I know that a lot of people, and I've heard it so much, I want to make my own show. I want to make my own short. I want to make my own movie. And so, you know, for all you creatives out there, like this is for you. So let's everyone introduce themselves quickly. I'm Dave Gallagher. I'm the founder of Anim School and the director of MechWest.
Yeah, I'm Noah Gallagher, co-writer and assistant director on MechWest.
I'm Jesse Draper. I'm art instructor and art director over at Anim School and help with MechWest.
I'm Georden Whitman. I'm director and creator of Port by the Sea.
I'm Kayla O'Brien. I'm the head of marketing at Steamroller Animation, and we made Spice Frontier.
That's my cue. I'm next. I'm Aaron Gilman. I'm the CEO and co-owner of Steamroller Animation, and yeah, that's me.
My name is Nathan Engelhardt. I'm the writer-director of the short film Forevergreen.
My name is Wyatt Hall. I'm the creator and director of Samurai Blue Afterimage.
I'm Amber Fitzpatrick, and I'm an animator on Samurai Blue Afterimage.
Well, all right. Yeah, great. Welcome, everyone. So I guess now we get to have a little slice, a very short slice of Forevergreen, and we'll be talking to Nathan.
All right.
Hello.
So exciting. Yeah, so you'll have to tell us more about that. Was so amazing.
Yeah.
What did we just see?
Yeah.
So that was just a little piece of the new animated short film Forevergreen that myself and my co-director Jeremy Spears, we got together and thought, hey, let's make a film. And this film was made by 200 volunteers.
Whoa.
In their free time. So it was over the span of, well, for me, it was probably 8 years now. I started trying to make something at the beginning of January of 2017. So you can do the math there. And then it wasn't until September of 2019 that we got that Jeremy joined the project, and we kind of blew up the story a few different times, and it became Forevergreen, that last iteration of it. So, and right as we were getting going, this little thing called COVID happened, which actually ended up becoming a blessing in disguise. It was, of course, a very difficult season for so many people, but we found that a lot of people were enthusiastic to spend extra time that they now had during, being cooped up at home and being able to build assets and stuff like that. So we really got most of our asset development done, animation test, the world being built and modeled and characters rigged, all during that sort of 2-year period where we were really locked down and just at home. So that was, again, quite a blessing, and we're just so grateful to all the 200 volunteers who gave freely of their time and talent. So just for this passion project, it's pretty incredible.
That was amazing.
So was it, I watched some clips or read some articles, I don't remember, but it talked about the bear specifically. Now, So the bears, was that something that your partner Jeremy was sort of already into that aesthetic and that like making carvings or something? Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Jeremy is a wood carver. He does that on the side. And so he, our day jobs were working at Disney Feature Animation. And so between nights and weekends and lunches, Jeremy, before this project, would be spending it on whittling little characters. He has his own business. And so much. And Jeremy also acted as the production designer on the film. So he was, already steeped in this very specific style that he had developed over the years. And so that was something we also thought, hey, this would be a neat style for the story that we're trying to tell, and would fit that vehicle would fit very nicely in the narrative. And so and he already knew kind of what that world was, so there was some time saving there as well. And then I think at the time we were starting the film in September of 2019, he had just finished a big project where he was whittling a bear, and my previous versions of the film included a tree, and was actually based off of I was initially trying to do an adaptation of a children's book called The Tale of the Three Trees. And then that evolved to an original idea, and then evolved again into what became ultimately Forevergreen. But so I always joke, I said, well, I brought the tree and Jeremy brought the bear to this film.
Did either of you storyboard it, or is that other people?
Yeah, so Jeremy, by trade, he is a storyboard artist for Disney Feature Animation. That's what he does. And then I'm in the animation department, so I'm supervising animator on films and at Disney. And so I think between the two of us, we thought, hey, we can at least make something. I had sort of a generalist background, and we could maybe come up with something. And that was before we knew how ambitious it would eventually become. But so Jeremy boarded a lot of it. And I had done one section. There was a section where the bear crossed over some rapids and stuff like that, and explore some other part of the Forevergreen forest. And so and then I think I did some of the epilogue, so just filling in, because remember, we did this in our free time. So we had we both have 4 kids. I think I started this film when I had only 2 and had 2 production babies while making the film. And I believe Jeremy also had 1 or 2. So when you're trying to be a full-time dad and father and husband, and do a great job at your day job, and then do this thing as a passion project, but really the order, it's at least 3rd or 4th in your priority order as far as life is concerned. So we do what we can, and we solicit help where we can. So we got a couple of other great storyboard artists to help out on the first act, and then again in the epilogue. So just soliciting friends' help. Old friend Jared Chirico from Blue Sky, and you remember Dave?
I know you worked on it. By the way, we used to work together, Nathan and I, at Blue Sky Studios. Yeah. But at this point, it's been like 15 years. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, time flies. Yeah. So it's just help wherever friends, and I think over the at least 14 and a half years at Disney, and then additional 4 or so at Blue Sky, you acquire some goodwill and good friends. And I think, there's some people out there that are willing to help out a buddy to make a thing. So again, you kind of split it up. So that's a long way of answering that. But
yeah, we wanted to ask everyone, like, how did you pay for it? What's the funding? But it sounds like there's almost no spending. I don't know. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so there was no budget, as far as, because it's people's time and talent. Just donated pro bono, right? These are guys that and gals who saw the vision of it, and they wanted in. And I think when you one of the reasons I would attribute that was the unique style that we were going for. We were really going for this wood carved replacement, stop motion style replacement animation, where if you were to take one of Jeremy's carvings and if I were to animate that, I would have to replace the whole sculpture. And so we're trying to think of truth and materials and all that other stuff. So I think when you tell an artist who, let's just use some of the effects, for example, water fluid simulations or whatever, and you say, hey, would you mind doing some rapids, and they're like, oh, sure. And you go, well, but the catch is that they're wooden rapids. And suddenly, if you give an artist a challenge, I've found that they're so much more willing and invested in the project, because it's you throw a Rubik's cube at an artist, they'll want to play, they'll want to figure it out. And so much of the we talked about two modes, inspiration and perspiration. And whenever you have a free project, there's a lot of different challenges that come along with it. With a paid project, you can just pay the people, and it's, well, that's your job, do your job. That's what the paycheck's for. But when it's not, we had to come up with clever ways to sort of keep people inspired. And that may be just with a piece of artwork. It may be with a challenge like wooden rapids that someone would want to figure out. But we always needed to figure out crew gifts. It was things that we were trying to motivate people in order to be inspired and connected to the project. So that was how we were able to pay people, was with inspiration. And we tried to avoid perspiration, because it's really easy to hear a pitch and go, I'm in. And then, it's they've done a whole long day of work. It's 10 p.m. They've put their kids down. And then the hardest part is looking at your computer going, should I turn this on? Should I log in? Should I do any of the, and so.
So did people sometimes say they were going to do something, and then a month would go by, 2 months would go by? Oh, I'm really sorry. How did you? Yeah. How did you keep? I mean, that's why it took a number of years.
5.5 years. Yeah. So that absolutely happened. And we always gave people an out. We said, hey, we know how hard this is. This is asking above and beyond what you're doing during your normal day. And so we want to be as flexible and just grateful that you would even consider this. So we always tried to keep our talent even in this open-handed posture of gratitude and thankfulness for their willingness to come. And honestly, I think that fueled a desire to be there even more. And so there were a few people that left, and we said, no worries at all. We totally understand. I totally get it. If it wasn't our project, I'd probably consider bailing a couple times in the 5.5 years.
That was actually my next question. It's like, when there's got to be the dark moments where you think, I don't know if I can keep going. Did you have really tough times, and how'd you get through?
As artists, don't we all have dark moments? I could recall going back all the way to in college, when everyone else getting work and I'm sitting there alone in the rented house that we have, and just getting this email about how from a Disney animator who said my animation was water balloony. That was a low moment. I was like, oh, no. I'm never getting into the animation industry. And so I think that's just how artists are wired too. I think we're, hypercritical, self-analyzing, whatever. And but with this project, there were some very real situations and that were threatening the project from completing. And so I think that there were situations where they were completely outside of our control, that we, whether or not there was some software issues or backporting issues, or some sort of ability to keep moving forward, that just, again, were outside of our control, or timing, like our composer had gone out on sabbatical, at one point, and we had certain needs in there, but it all worked out, but it was just one of those things where you make a thing and you don't realize that Murphy's Law exists for a reason. And what can go wrong will. And I think when you're kind of starting a project, there's so much optimism and hope and naivete, which is good and healthy. I think if you knew the Mount Everest that you were going to climb, I think most people would not climb it.
Yep.
But when you're halfway up, you sort of have to commit, especially when other people have already given of their free time, which is almost worse than after paying them, because at least they've had some compensation, right? If you don't complete it, it's like, why did I even waste my time? And I didn't see anything for it at the end of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a great burden on our hearts to finish it and to do it well, but also to like I said, keep everyone inspired. But when that happened, when those trials came, just like anyone, there were moments where I felt like it was so hard on my family, hard on everyone, that made you just want to quit, you know. But I think what separates the doers from the non-doers is perseverance, right? It's as simple as that. It's perseverance.
Yep. You have to be a little bit crazy and take
Yeah.
a little bit of a risk. A lot of risk, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, what you've created, really, like, I look at that footage and I think this looks like the best of like a Disney Pixar like short from their golden years. So I love it.
Thank you for that. And I just one more thing to say. I think it's in this world we live in of, you know, easy auto-generated art. I think it's important to know that the trials and the effort and the hardships are part of creating great art, and it's been that way since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a labor of love, right? I think, you know, or a work of art. It's hard work, it's a labor, and that pain that is associated with that is not always pleasant.
Yeah. What advice would you give? Like, people want to do their own thing. Well, what advice would you give them? What to do and what not to do?
Yeah. What to do? You know, I think be realistic with what you can do. We set out to make a 5-minute to 7-minute short, and it ended up becoming 12 minutes. And that was not our intention. It was just that as we started, at some point the film starts to speak to you of what it needs to be when you start doing all your story math, and it's like, well, if this is true, well, then we got to set it up here, and then we're gonna have to pay it off here, and that's more screen time, and so it sort of takes on a life of its own. But I think we were really trying to be cognizant of the time we had as fathers and husbands, and try to not kill anyone with too much work. But I think what we found, at least in the kind of structure that we did with this pro bono type of film, was that the challenges were part of how we were getting it done. Right? So it becoming more ambitious was also getting it more completed. So I think we kind of were okay with the expansion of the time footprint of the film, in order to keep people inspired. So, but if you're funding this on your own, make sure it doesn't get too big where you're halfway through and you just can't finish it because you don't have time or the budget or anything like that to do it. And just because there was a budget associated with this film, it was our time, right? Time is money. And so that's things that we could have invested elsewhere, either our family or another side job, teaching or something like that, right? So I think it's just use your time wisely, be thoughtful about what you are able to do, and honest with what you're able to do, because there's nothing worse than starting a thing and having to abandon it. So I think that would be maybe something that all artists fall into that trap, I think. But
I think everyone wants to see this. Where can you see it? And then, like, what's next? Like, is there going to be like a Forevergreen 90-minute movie or something?
Yeah. Don't bite off more than you can chew. That's great. So right now we're in the festival circuit. I think we've gotten into around 56 or so festivals and counting. I think we'll probably do that through the next year. There'll be some more that are trickling in 2026. And then we've done we're currently in the Academy screening room. We're doing that as well, going to the award seasons, Annie's, those sorts of things. And then after that, really the end of the festival run is sort of the Oscars, or, in springtime next year. And then we have some hopes that there will be some distribution domestically, whether that's a streamer or something like that. I mean, worst case scenario, we'll put it on YouTube. Currently, we have some distribution that's going to be happening coming up here. We can't quite announce it yet, but it'll be more in the Europe, nothing domestically yet. So that's going to be exciting to share that soon. But what we're hoping is that people will see this and maybe want to partner with us on being able to get that out there. We will show the film somewhere around Thanksgiving for, I think, a week or so. And that will be online and available for anyone to view on YouTube. I assume we'll probably put it there. So yeah, you could probably see it right around the holidays coming up here.
Fantastic. Great. And then, yeah. So where can people find you? Like is there a website or?
Oh yeah, it's great. So forevergreenfilm.com. You can check us out there. We put some updates there, and where we've been, and a little behind the scenes stuff. And then of course on our Instagram, it's probably where we put most of the behind the scenes stuff. I'm not super great on LinkedIn. I am there. But we don't have like a film LinkedIn thing. It's just me, and a lot of it is reposting from our Instagram account, which is Forevergreen _short_film. And then of course you can follow us personally, which we post the same things. And it's just our names, Nathan Engelhardt. And then Jeremy's is Whittle Woodshop, and that's his handle.
Okay.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, it's great to see you again, Nathan. It's I think we're all super inspired by your short, and it's a long short. So that's like
yeah,
of a MechWest show. So very impressive.
Well, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Nathan.
Cool.
All right. We'll jump into a clip now here from Spice Frontier.
I hope we find them too. Do you think the human colony is still there? I wonder how they've adapted. They've been here for so long.
You really don't smell that?
What? I don't smell any... Kent! Look! Are those... It has legs! Amazing! And it's huge! Yeah, we'll need to get the Serrano to get up there. There must be all kinds of exotic plants on its back. I'm going to get a closer look.
Whoa, Ada, look. Sela, Maud, didn't you say those lobster things are space dwellers? Rarely seen.
It's called a Zephyr. Yes. Kent, why?
Well, because what I'm looking at right now, it's like a Zephyrin graveyard, and most of them look like, half-eaten.
Kent, Ada, Nexus, head back to the ship.
Aaron's like, where's the rest?
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Great job. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, how stylized it is. But yeah, so reintroduce yourselves, guys. This is Aaron and Kayla.
Hi, I'll start. I'm Kayla. I'm the head of marketing here at Steamroller Animation.
Oh, Aaron, is he muted? It's possible.
I am. Hi.
Ah.
Okay.
I'm back. I've got like 3 different mute buttons going on.
Yeah.
Here. Very complicated. Hi, everybody. I'm Aaron Gilman. I am one of the owners of Steamroller. I'm also the CEO. I look after, I guess I kind of look after everything in many different ways. I wear a lot of hats. But yeah, I was just saying you stopped that clip at the moment that things were going to happen.
I know.
We love doing that.
Well, great. And what were your roles on it? And, what did you, first of all, like.
Yeah. You want us to jump in there, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kayla and I sort of really are looking after kind of the big picture for the project in terms of where it sits as far as the vision and strategy of our studio goes. So I am by background an animator. I've been I was a creature animator for the big studios for much of my career. And it's really only in the last 5 years that I find myself taking this incredibly strange leap to the other side of the business of animation, which is sort of looking after all of the kind of financial and new business and vision strategies for the studio. So really my job was to make sure that we have the money to make Spice Frontier, that we are keeping people working on it consistently, and that we're not seeing sort of gaps or stalls in the workflow. And that means that I got to make sure new business is coming into the company and that we've got people paying us to do other things so that we can funnel that money into the show. And then I'll let Kayla talk about the marketing strategy.
Yeah, and I kind of do some similar things to Aaron about keeping an eye on the big picture and keeping my pulse on what's going on in the greater indie animation world. So what are other companies doing? What are other independent creators doing? How are they succeeding with things? And then seeing if we can take some of those lessons learned from other people and put it into our strategy. So we launched a brand new YouTube channel to put this episode on, which was a big risk for us because we hadn't established, it was smaller on the grand scheme of things, but still a YouTube channel that had been a part of our company for, I think, over 10 years. And so there was fear of like, if we start this brand new thing, will it be, a mistake? But it turns out it was not. We've been having a lot of success with growth and learning about algorithms and why people watch and how they retain attention on the platform. So that's kind of where my head's at every day. And I spend a lot of time on thumbnails and thinking about thumbnails and dreaming about thumbnails because it's so important to this strategy for us right now.
Yeah, your thumbnail, the latest thumbnail for the show looks really cool. Really like it.
Yay, Kayla.
Yes.
I remember when Kayla came to talk to me about thumbnails, she was like, that's a thing. I'm like, no, it's not. That's weird. Like, what if people are just going to go see it because it's a cool show? They're like, no, thumbnails is like a whole strategy.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So what made you guys want to make Spice Frontier? How did it happen? Or why,
Yeah, well, Steamroller Animation, I think probably it's important. I always have to say this because I want people to understand that, we are an artist-owned and operated studio that's, getting up to about 300 people now. So we're not small anymore. We're not enormous compared to other studios, but we're at this sort of like, this is serious and we've got a big ship to manage. And we don't take money from outside sources. We're completely independently run. And that independence is based on a kind of brand quality that we've built for ourselves on the animation services side of things. So we've got a lot of, very high-end clients in VFX and feature animation, game cinematics, and in-game animation that we're working with at any one time across all of those different areas. But we didn't start animation because we wanted to do that. We actually started Steamroller because we wanted to do that. We started Steamroller because we wanted to tell our own stories. That was really the fundamental driving need for the owners. And so we all had our jobs. We were at Weta and DreamWorks. I joined the company 5 years ago. I was the head of animation at DNEG. And so we had our established positions in the industry. but I think we were all, in our own way, experiencing a growing frustration, I think, with sort of storytelling and where it was at. We had our own ideas around what kinds of stories we wanted to tell. And so Steamroller actually started through a desire to tell a story. And in this particular case, it was a video game. That video game, yeah, it was called Curse of the Deadwood. You've probably never heard of it, because guess what? When you're an independent company that doesn't know a lot of things, you don't know how to market a video game and get publishers on board and all of those things. But all of those things ultimately defined sort of the DNA of our studio. So because we didn't know how to make a video game, and because we would, essentially use up all of our budget trying to make the game, we would have to go on pause and then go find service work, bring money into the company, and then get everybody back onto the game to keep going. That on and off relationship essentially resulted in a 7-year production timeline for a single video game. But during that 7 years, our sort of service quality and the kind of industry's awareness of what we were capable of continued to grow and grow and grow. And so ultimately, that desire to tell our own story went from a video game into a short film for Spice Frontier that we did in 2019. That's about 8 minutes long. And so we've made a lot of original content, and that's kind of our driving DNA, with the animation services allowing us to do that and stay independent at the same time.
Well said.
And did you pitch it to a studio? If you can talk about this, did you pitch it to a distributor, studio first, and then decide, all right, well, we're just going to make it ourselves, or was this sort of always the plan?
So kind of a little bit of both. After we made the short film, there was some interest in doing more with the Spice Frontier IP from at least one studio. And we quickly walked away from that because the studio wanted to mold the IP into a direction that was not what we wanted. And so we had the financial capability to sort of go from the short film, which was all out of Maya, totally bootstrapped, using out of the box tools. And but as we looked at doing a 30-minute pilot episode, which you showed the clip for, it started to get more serious in the sense like, well, we can't do that just out of Maya. We need to build a proper pipeline for that amount of content. And so for us, because we had the financial capability to independently produce not only the pipeline, but to carry the artist to execute the pilot episode at the same time, which took us 3.5 years to do, we felt like we were in a position to tell the story we wanted to tell, which, by the way, is contrary to the way the industry generally functions when people want to get their IP financed by other people, which is those other people to put money into your show. They want to say, they want to be involved. They want to be able to help drive direction that will mold it to their brand or what they are trying to do. And for us, we had the opportunity to say, you know what, we're going to tell our story and we're not going to compromise on that. But with that comes all sorts of other problems, which is now you've made the product, so you need to cross your fingers and hope that other people now want what you made because they weren't involved at the beginning. So it's a vicious kind of, it's a double-edged sword, I guess you would say.
Yeah, sometimes those producers know what they're talking about, sometimes they don't. So
that's right. And that's the thing, which is for us, while our brand is sort of associated with animation work, our passion and DNA is associated with storytelling. And so for us, we have 10 other IPs that are all at different stages of development, a massive variety of stories that we are trying to tell. And as long as we have that independent capacity to put money into storytelling, we will not stop. That's our driving force for the vision of the company. We always said, if we're ever just going to be a service studio, we're kind of not that interested in just that. We need more.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so yeah, what do you know? What were the toughest things about it? Was there any time where you said, you know what, I don't think we can do this, and we're gonna have to stop?
So probably the toughest thing that was a huge unknown for us was pretty much at the very beginning of the project. Because we had done the short film for Spice Frontier all out of Maya and sort of used that short film to define the kind of, visual aesthetic, that sort of 2D, 3D kind of hybrid that we were looking for. The critical thing for us was to figure out how can we match that in Unreal. That was the biggest problem for us. If you think about Unreal Engine, generally the majority of content coming out of Unreal tends to be a little bit more realistic focused. And for us, we knew that we had this visual aesthetic that appeals to us that we developed in Maya. So the first question was, can we even technologically replicate that look, hopefully even better, in Unreal Engine? And so that started essentially a 3 or 4 month test of basically having our Unreal team and a lot of our experts looking at the engine and basically replicating a scene that, essentially mirrored what or matched what we were doing in the original short. Once we bridged that gap, then the rest was just logistics. It was sort of like, okay, well, we know how to do it now. Let's produce the show. And then of course, along the way, there were all sorts of tools that we needed to build in order to help automate the workflow. There's a lot of complexities in this project because of the 2D elements and the 2D components. And if we were doing that all manually, like painting rim lights or rim effects around all of the characters' heads, which is what we did manually frame by frame in the original short, we'd probably never get the thing done. So we built Unreal-based tools for shaders, for 2D projection, for all of our 2D effects animation. And there was a lot of work that went in with our programmers to kind of get us to where we are now.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I wanted to ask about the rim light. It's so powerful. Graphically, it works so well. It's really hard to do in 3D, let me tell you, because the light it has to be like super bright in order to get a strong rim light, which kind of ruins the rest of the scene. And so we can't get this kind of thing with our lighting setup. So, but how do you do that? Are there selective lights where it's only shining on certain objects, or?
So firstly, I should say, as the CEO, I'm not an artist on the ground of the show. So I have to be careful how much detail I offer about the specific, techniques that are used in the project, because I can only answer so much. But to give you a sense of it, there are no lights. So these characters are not actually lit. All of this is art directed in terms of, essentially painted into the frame. And those are the tools that we automated in order to get that effect.
Cool.
It's so amazing. It really, your project definitely does not, in the best way, it does not look like an indie project. I would never have guessed. So it all works so well. The 2D, 3D look. Yeah, amazing.
That's the most comment that we get is, I can't believe this is on YouTube for free. I can't believe this isn't on Netflix. That's what people say a lot, which is obviously great and a compliment. But we agree. We want to see more of this kind of caliber of work on YouTube available for everyone to give their feedback and obsess over.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to say, this was probably between 45 and 60 incredibly talented people for 3.5 years that created this. And so we have an incredible team. And luckily, because of sort of the pedigree of service work that we do, we were fortunate enough that we were able to keep them working on this show full time while building the pipeline at the same time without any sort of, gaps. And, it was just really good, consistent work to get this done. And we tell them every day how proud they should be of what they've created.
Definitely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of people out there who want to do something like this. What would you tell them? What's the advice that you guys would give?
Oof.
That's a big one. Well, first off, I'd probably say don't, kind of like what Nathan said, don't bite off more than you can chew. A 30-minute pilot episode is no joke. I mean, that's a third of a feature film essentially. And for us, like I said before, we couldn't sort of, bootstrap it. We couldn't kind of just use out of the box stuff and kind of at that length and volume. We needed to make a pipeline that would sort of prove the process. And so now, we're ready to make, not only the rest of this season for this episode, but our pipeline is now open for business. We've been very much an animation studio up until now. Bring us your Maya scenes, we'll animate them amazingly and then send them back to you. And now, along with doing our own IP content, we're also starting to attract and bring in more sort of full pipeline work. But to answer the question, I would say that putting yourself in a position to make independent content is almost just, it's instantly synonymous with sacrifice. Steamroller Animation, the original three owners, Adam, Keith, and Jalil, they were paying themselves $6, $7 an hour to try and get this company up off the ground. It's very difficult to make original content, but at the same time, it's incredibly easy. You have massive access to software and tools, and you just have to figure out how to kind of survive at the same time that you're bringing, your creativity to a project. So on the one hand, you should have all of the confidence and courage to dive in to creating content. But then on the other hand, you've got all the practical realities of how to do that and kind of get through it, responsibly for yourself and for your life.
And I have advice from the other side, just from watching other projects and seeing what really does well. If it's a money concern, which any of these projects, it's so incredibly expensive to do animation and to do it well, as we all know. So is there a story to tell before you get to animation? Because it's so much easier to start your animation project when you have a following, when you have buy-in from the public. So I would say, can you make this a comic first? Can you put it on social media first as like a 2D carousel, something to get your characters out there, to get your ideas out there before you start, even one pixel of animation? Because if you can use it as a testing bed. If people are like, I cannot wait till this becomes something, then you have buy-in and you have a better chance that people are going to watch it. And you can make some money on YouTube. You can do different things to propel yourself. And just morale-wise, too. It's good to know people are going to want it versus putting it out there and going, oh, hope so,
Yep.
I just want to also add, I think that, aside from talking about kind of the state of the industry and all of that, I think if you have opportunities, and I'm sure we have a lot of young people watching this who are, educating themselves about animation and maybe just starting their careers. But I think it's really important to make sure that while you're doing indie content, you're trying to give yourself as much access to the industry as possible in the form of the development of your career with other companies and with other professionals. It's really important to kind of not sort of be an artist in a vacuum. It's a very I feel like, for me, I couldn't imagine being an indie animator so early in my career that I would have given up the access that I've had over the course of my career, not only to, my Rolodex, the people that I've worked with and the relationships that I've built, but also my access to different tools and different pipelines. That information is gold when it comes to, okay, how am I going to tell my story? So there's more pitfalls that I think will come when you're doing your own stuff on your own early in your career, as opposed to building some of your foundation that stuff can kind of sit on.
Yeah, I think you guys also have the problem that we do on our projects, which is you can't dumb down the animation quality, because that is our brand. And so it's not, I think both of our projects are not economical in a sense. Like if you were to come at this and say, okay, we want this kind of show, you wouldn't have this kind of, like what you're seeing, everyone here watching, what you're seeing is high level animation. It takes a lot of time, takes very skilled people to pull off this kind of animation. But you guys, you can't make it worse, because that's your brand. Like your brand is quality.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question. I mean, we've looked at numerous different ways to approach Spice Frontier for the future, for episodes 2, 3. If we have those opportunities to make the show that way, and there's a margin of error for us that we're not willing to go past when it comes to animation quality. Now, does that mean that we're not negotiable there? To some degree, if it means that we can get, help to continue to make this series. But there is a breaking point to it where it's no longer the show that we want to make. And obviously, as I've mentioned before, we're quite passionate about making sure that we're making the shows that we want to make. But yeah, to your point, if you look at the budgets for this project, the animation time was significant. And the cost for doing these performances at these levels of quality was quite high.
Yeah, great. And then, what's next? Or is there going to be another episode? I know you're talking about lots of different ideas, so maybe you'll do something else first, or you're going to do, or you're not sure yet.
Well, Kayla, why don't you jump in a little bit and talk about sort of what we've learned after we did this massive push for this episode, and kind of what we're doing now to kind of keep the world building and the interest going. And then I can talk about sort of Spice for the future and other IPs.
Sure. So right now we're doing a spin-off show on the YouTube channel because it's important for us to keep the YouTube channel going, and it has been going because we're funneling people to watch the episode because it's not too late to watch it and to get new fans and to get people involved in the world. So we have a 2D mini episode series called Cooking with Kentucky that stars Kentucky Williams, who is also the star of Spice Frontier, and it's made a 2D way. It's a lot faster. It gets things kind of out the door quicker, and so it's also giving more lore, more background of Kent and who he is and his whole vibe, because that is a note that we got a lot, is like, Kent, we don't know about him, we don't know enough about him to really buy into him as a character. So we thought, well, this is the perfect way to kind of open up his story without it costing the same amount as those minutes in the episode format. So we have, I think, like 10 episodes written. One has already come out, and the second one's coming out soon. So we're going to do that for a little bit. We are also investing in shorts and really trying to make the shorts great, the vertical versions to get people back to the episode. So we're trying to keep the channel alive, and then we have things coming down in the future, but we never want to just sit dormant for any real, amount of time, at least writing posts, keeping our community engaged. We just recently opened the memberships up. That's how people can financially support us. Because we got that question a lot on YouTube. So that's what we're doing. Just keeping it going with storytelling on that channel, because that's going to be our home base.
Yeah. And the YouTube sort of approach for us, it's kind of, as a studio, it's really important for us that we be connecting with our fan base, not just with regards to Spice Frontier, but with regards to the way in which we want to tell stories and the types of stories we want to tell. So we've got such a huge variety of projects, all leveraging this technological, workflow that we've developed with Unreal. But if we spend 3 years or whatever, obviously we spent a long time on the first episode because we had to build the pipeline. But if we're spending really long intervals to make these 30-minute episodes, number one, there's obviously a financial issue there. It's very costly. And number two, we go dormant for longer periods of time, which we know, based on the way YouTube works and the way that direct-to-consumer engagement works, we want to keep that uptime as much as we can. So that's why we've sort of gone all in on generating shorter form content as we look at those bigger milestones at longer intervals. So we've got a totally new IP that's going to be coming to our YouTube channel that's completely different, that we're hoping will resonate with people. We're also working on, hopefully I can say, of course I can say this. So we did a teaser for what we hope to one day make into an animated feature film called Master. And that was made a number of years ago. In 2020, we released that, and it did very well online, but it was only like 1 minute and 20 seconds long. We're now looking at that project again, but we're working on a CG test for that film as a feature film, but within the technology we've developed for Spice Frontier. And we think that that's going to blow people's minds when we release that on YouTube, because it's badass. It's really, really cool. So that's kind of the strategy in terms of Spice Frontier as a season, because we have a plan to do 7 more episodes for a season 1. In terms of that plan, there are kind of multiple conversations happening. On the one hand, we are looking at the independent production aspect of it, which is how can we do this as an indie studio, potentially in a kind of co-production relationship with other indie companies, that together we can leverage things like government rebates and co-production treaties that exist between, Canada, United States, and other European countries. And figure out a way to kind of cobble the money together as indie creators do and make the whole thing. On the other hand, we're also talking with studios and seeing if we can work something out there where, we can find a good kind of middle ground to make the show at the cost we want to make it at, retaining things like, some creative control that's very important to us. And that's a more complicated sort of journey. Well, they're both complicated, I'll be honest. So we'll figure it out. But right now, episode 2 for Spice Frontier is not happening in this moment. We are working on opportunities to figure out how to make that happen.
Great. Right. Okay. Well, it's just such a beautiful thing you guys have made, and I loved it. And so, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. This is a real pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And looks like it's time to bring in Georden Whitman, creator of Pork by the Sea. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's just also so beautiful. Such a great design and look. So very excited that you're joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. No, thank you for having me, and everyone else too.
Okay, let's take a look at a clip here.
Roger at that thing, Umi.
He was the only thing left. How come you can't have a normal pet like a dog?
Everyone knows behind all great men are their timeless crabs. Besides, Jolly can be plenty helpful in situations. You'll see.
Well, it's gonna be hard tracking that again.
It'll be even harder with the boat like this.
We'll need a shipwright for this one. To the town!
To town!
All right. Yeah, great job.
Thank
so,
you.
Georden, tell us about what did you do on it? Did you...
Everything at some point. So me and my partner probably did like 50% of the projects, like kind of ourselves, like in about every single aspect, from like doing character turnarounds, backgrounds, paint, and all of it. But we also brought on a small team of people to do like the other 50%, and we used a savings and whatnot, and borrowed basically and paid back over time to make it all happen.
Cool. So was it sort of the story and the look and everything? Was that your idea?
Yep. it's like sort of been my brainchild for a long while. It's something that we or that I've been wanting to make ever since like college. Like it's been around for like 10 plus years at this point, and I was like, I finally wanted to sit down and make kind of a passion project and put it out there and see what people thought of the overall idea.
Wow,
that's so cool.
Amazing. So, professionally was like, how'd you get these skills and your work and so forth?
So after school or during school even, I kind of started, I did like an internship with like Frederator and whatnot, and started with like background design and paint is like where my proficiency is. And I'm currently lead background design on another indie pilot that's coming out soon called Farfetched. But over time, like that's where I got like a lot of my skill work and whatnot. As I did background paint design primarily, but I also did like assets like character design and whatnot, and did animation for my school thesis. So it's like I've done like a little bit of everything at some point.
Yeah.
It looks like something that could fit right into Cartoon Network or Disney Channel. It's really amazing.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to make something that would kind of feel like what you would see sort of on cartoon. Or at least I wanted to like challenge myself to be like, can we make something by ourselves with like a set budget put aside and be able to kind of hit that kind of serialized quality that like you would see on TV.
Yeah.
What kind of resources do you use to make it? Someone asked you, is it hand drawn?
Yeah, so everything is done on like 2s and 3s, and we used like Toon Boom Harmony and Adobe Animate, but we quickly moved away from Animate.
Yeah.
Right. And so what made you want to do it initially? Just this is sort of in your DNA, sounds like you wanted to do this for a long time.
Yeah, I've always liked telling stories personally. Port, funnily enough, kind of came from like a dream in college I had, where this giant kind of sea titan or something was trying to flood the planet, and like I sat down with a few friends from school and I like started sketching out like an overarching plot and like how to make these two kids kind of go on like the Odyssey or like some kind of journey, basically to a coming of age journey that would be that would resonate with a lot of people, I think, today. And then we set forth and I pitched it to Frederator. I sat down one day with Eric Holman was leading their production team at the time, and he was the one that you'd go to for pitches and whatnot. And we almost actually got it picked up by them to move forward. And he told us, he's like, if you make a version of this like what we had at the time, like a storyboarded version, it was kind of a little bit different than what we put out now. But in its earlier form, he was like, if you make this journey about Umi, or the girl character in this short, I'll bring it to Fred right now. And he's like, and we'll move forward with it. And I was like, I said, I was like, I'll think about it. And but just as I started thinking about it, I got like a full-time job in Austin, Texas. And I was like, I need this. I'm just out of school. And it's like, I just need something stable right now, and I might come back later. And so this is kind of my version of coming back later.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was going to ask if like you were pitching it to studios, and then this is like, because I think the indie spirit is like, wait, I don't care what you say, I'm making it anyway.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of both. It's like I designed Port to be the pilot's pretty safe, right? It's like a pretty general audience, I want to say. But there is like, if we move forward, and it's like, and we do that to kind of make it a little presentable for people, but moving forward, it's like it is a coming of age journey. There's a lot of dark themes that are tackled, I feel like, that aren't in a lot of narratives today. And like, that's kind of what I want to bring forth to the table. But we wanted something that's like generally approachable. You get the idea of like what the story will be or where it will go, like if more happens, and then like see if it resonates with people and stick there, and then start growing into like more of the more deeper aspects as it grows.
Great. Well, yeah, people want to know, like, how did you pull it off? Like, it sounds like you did so much. So it helps to be super talented. But yeah, like, how else? Like, how did you pay for it? How did you?
So we had putting like savings aside, as well as taking a loan out, basically. We had a budget of about $100,000, which is like still not a lot. Like, it sounds like a lot, I'm sure, to like most people, but it's like that was enough to get like 50% of the stuff that we couldn't like really do, or it would take much longer if we did do it by ourselves. off to the side. And so we use that to bring on animators, to bring on sound design and sound crew and all of that to like kind of really bring it home and run it together and work with a team of people that we hope had a fun time while doing it.
How did you develop like the personalities? They seem, well thought out.
So it's based on a little bit of me and my sister's like a dynamic kind of growing up, where it's like they very much kind of share the mentality of like, one is very kind of like optimistic. He's kind of like bright-eyed, like everything is kind of like energetic for him. He's a little bit younger than Umi. And the other one is a realist. The other one is more like probably more athletic, can get a little bit more done at times and not quite as clumsy. And it's like that was kind of my dynamic with my sister growing up. It's like I was very much like a little bit more quiet than Port, but like I was the optimist. I tried to like see things in a brighter picture and try to like see things positively. Where my sister was very much like the athletic one, the one with like a more like strict, like realist, like mentality. And like, I just wanted to kind of bring that into the picture.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's nice because like, as it would go, you'd see that kind of flip a little bit where it's like Port would hit a point of being like, maybe he's a little realist at some points. And then Umi has to be the one to like spread the optimism that she learned from him. And like, you get that balance, like as they grow as characters.
Yeah. Great. Cool. So how many people did you say helped out with this?
It's like a handful. It's like, I could probably count on my hand. So we have a website, porkbythesea.com. And it's like, and everyone that we worked with is on there. It's like, probably like, I'm going to say like 40 people overall. Like it's not too many.
Yeah. Wow.
Did you try? I can't remember if we asked. Did you try to pitch it to any networks, or did you just go indie to start with?
Yeah, and we're still talking with a few. So like we're kind of sitting in the zone of like where if it will keep going or if someone else wants to kind of pick it up. And we're talking with a few people at the moment. So yeah, we definitely have pitched it, and we want it to be something limited. Like something like kind of. I guess Over the Garden Wall is a good comparison, where it's like it's something that's like you have a beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't run on for like 20 seasons. It's like this is something that like has a story and it tells it, and then it's like that's the moral and that's the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so dang attractive. You just want to. I don't think you can see these and not want to know what's going to happen next. It's like just so interesting looking.
Thank you.
So what were the tough parts of it? Like, were there moments where you said, wow, I don't think I can go on anymore. This is just too hard.
It's like a marathon. Like that's how I phrase it, is I'm like, every day is just like you take one step at a time and you get something done and you make a little check mark and you keep walking. But there were definitely days where I'm just like I think the graveyard in particular was like the cursed scene for us, where like every single time like someone would come on, like something would come up for them, or like someone else would come along and be like, hey, we're offering you this full-time position like over here. And I'm like, all right, like, because we were like sort of the pit stop for a lot of people. We're like, hey, while you're looking for work, you can come with us and like finish this scene or whatever. And then if you get picked up, great, don't worry about it. Like, bye-bye, like have a good time. And so like that happened in that scene more than any other, where it's like they'd get one shot and then like we'd get it, and then like someone else would come on, and it's like the consistency there of like so many like people like coming in and out and just trying to keep it like all level was like definitely a challenge.
Man, we had that problem so much on MechWest. Like, hey, we can't pay you very much, but so they would work, and then something better would come along. Yeah, it was so hard. So that was sort of your darkest time.
Yeah, it was. I'd say like overall, like the process was good and fun. I was tired by the end though, like, and I still am. Like I'm recovering and whatnot, and so it's like I'm like taking my time before like really diving into doing another, because it's like it is a marathon. It kicks the crud out of you.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is like people want to know, like, I want to create my own show, but tell them right now, what should I not do, and what should I do?
I would say the best thing you can do, at least from my perspective, is when telling a story or a narrative, make sure it's something that like you can really resonate with. Make it something personal and make it something that like a lot of people could also learn from, and do it for you, right? It's like you shouldn't be making something, I feel like, I shouldn't say you shouldn't be, but like ideally, you should try to make something that isn't like, oh, this thing is doing well, therefore I want to make that thing too the exact same way. And it's like you should, I want to see you in the story is what I'm trying to say, I guess. And I think that's really impactful, especially when trying to pitch and so forth.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like most people can kind of tell the difference between a piece of art that was created because the artist felt like it had to be created, they had a creative reason for doing it, came out of their soul, versus something that just they're chasing trends or trying to make money.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, and that's the nice thing about indie too. It's just like there is a lot of personality, there is a lot of personal projects and love and passion that like goes into these things, because like there's nothing really holding you back. It's like, so you get to kind of show a little bit of your true colors.
Yeah, it's kind of like the exact opposite of studio-driven content, which is, all right, what are the trends? All right, the trend. Let's all get on this trend and let's do this. And independent can just take it, flips it on its head. It's like, what do I want to do? And then you make a trend,
Yep. You make the new risks basically, and you kind of show that they're safe. That's the nice thing about indie is like, once you're done and it's kind of out there, and if people like it and it resonates well and does well, you're also less of a risk too, like moving forward with studios and pitching. It's like you have a presented like an entire finished project that you can say, look, people want this, people want more of this, or people like this. And it's like, it's nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that we found, like, okay, now it's made. How do you tell people about it? Because, there's YouTube, your average YouTube channel, like it takes them 30 minutes to make 30 minutes of content. Yeah. And for us, it takes, hundreds of thousands of dollars and years and like endless labor. And you're competing with the stuff that's just instant. And so how do you get the word out?
I think people also resonate a lot with time and patience too, like kind of the quiet moments in a way. And when people see something special, it's like, I think there's a different, like when I watch like streamers or when I watch like video game content, etc., it's not the same feeling like when I'm sitting down for a movie or when I'm sitting down for like something that's independent. It's a little bit more immersive, I want to say, for like the more narrative structures. And it's like, I think there's also more value in that too. And I think like that's kind of what sold it for itself. And I've always, and like people would probably disagree with me on this, but I've always been of the mindset that like, if you have good work and you have something that's strong that people resonate with, it's like, it will sell itself. And a great example of that, in my opinion, is like, remember when like La La Land like came out in theaters and stuff? It's like it had zero advertising, like none whatsoever, but everyone spoke about it and it sold itself. And it's like, that's that kind of work. And it's like, I think Miyazaki even did it too with his, like the Heron film. I really believe that like, if you have something that's like genuine and it's like, it's not the same for everyone. It's like you can make like funny, quick shorts and stuff too. And that can absolutely do well as well. But when you're sitting down and you want to make something that's like a little bit more artistic and a little bit more like beginning, middle, and end, it's like that will also resonate with people. And I think people will talk about it too.
Right. But not as much as putting a head in a toilet. Like if you really want to go
exactly. Sometimes like you got to push things, and like putting your head in a toilet, it'll get you there sometimes.
Yep. That's what makes us artists, right? Because like that's the thing is one of these can be, it's valuable even if nobody saw it or if it never picks up, it still has this intrinsic artistic value.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is so cool. And it's so inspiring actually, this just to hear your story with this, because you're exactly right. It's like, well, you made art and that you can feel good about that. Like that feels fulfilling, meaningful.
And I really want to say too, it's like when you make something, and even if it only resonates with like 1 to 2 people, and it's like, this is like my philosophy on like making storytelling in general. When you make something like special and unique, and let's say only a few people see it, you've now effectively changed the lives of those like 5 or 10 people. Like they are now like sitting and thinking about your work, or could even reflect on it or change the way that they approach like their day-to-day conversation because of what you brought out into the world. And it's like, and not a lot of people like sit down or think about the responsibility behind that. And it's like, and that's something that like deeply resonates with me, that like I'm happy just to be able to get the people that do just genuinely want to watch it.
Yeah, wow, that's really cool. Okay, yeah, so what's next? You're talking to partners, you're talking to streamers and stuff, so there might be more Port by the Sea.
We're talking to a few people right now to explore options. Ideally, it would look, if it were to happen tomorrow, it would look either like a serialized, right, where it's like I'd want to do like 8 episode seasons, I think, and it'd be 4 in total. Or the other option, which we might pursue further down the road if we do it independently, is we would do a Kickstarter for individual films, like 90-minute films. And each one would be like one of the 4 titans that you see like at the start, right? It tackles each one indirectly until it ends with the main antagonist. And so each film would be its own kind of arc and journey that these characters take.
Yeah, so yeah, everyone needs to know that it's very expensive to do this stuff. It's a huge amount of labor. So if you like one of these shows, find out how you can support it. So for you guys, like, we haven't found like merch hasn't been a big factor because I guess we don't have big enough following, so we have some merch. But what is the best way people can say, yeah, I want more of this?
So we have a coffee or a Patreon. I believe it's a coffee. It's on our website, portbythesea.com. But there's a $10 option. It's a digital goodie bag, we call it, and it like gives you like the PDF and whatnot of the art book. It gives you like phone screensavers, wallpaper backgrounds. It gives you a lot of different things. That's just like you can just get digitally. And at some point we did do physical art books, and we sold out at Lightbox Expo. And at some point I think I'd like to bring those back and do that again. But at the moment we're still deciding like when we want to do that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, just figuring out how to fund it is its own project. There's it is a huge project that alone, that could take all your focus. But
it's definitely a risk reward where it's like we had like the savings saved up in order to do it, and now that it's out there, it's like it's easier. I feel like once something's out there and does well, and then you can start making like merchandise and profiting. But it's like that's not always easy for everyone, right? And it's like, so I know a lot of people who also have to start that stage a little early, right? Doing comics, etc., and then being like, hey, here's merch to like help our production and like keep it going. It's like, so that kind of stuff definitely, like, merch is like, that's how you keep it going. Like that's really like where like a lot of the train like keeps moving.
Yeah. But good luck shipping the merch internationally.
That's true too. And that's why we do like a lot of digital stuff, is because like it makes it easier, but we also want to make sure that we're giving digital stuff that feels like it's worth it. And that feels like, even though like if it's $10, you're getting like probably more, but it's digital. So it's easy to like not have to worry about shipping fees and so on.
Great.
Yeah.
We've got like a minute or so, but someone's asking like, yeah, surviving financially as an indie studio. But for you guys, like you save this money, you borrowed this money, and then did it. Were you also working on the side, or was this?
Yes. Yeah. We were working all like during its production and whatnot. My partner was working on like We Baby Bears for Cartoon Network at the time, and I was doing like other like smaller indie projects and whatnot that already had their funding too, like simultaneously, and working like with like Spindlehorse and all of them, like on Boss and stuff too. So like I it's like we're doing that while making this, so it's like it's a journey.
That's amazing.
So that's the marathon that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Also doing other things, a lot of hours, and then doing this.
Yes, yeah, it's a lot, and that's why it took like 4.5 years. It's like it takes time. So
yeah. But that's great because this could build a fan base. It could turn into a funded series. So wow, you're right. I love that what you're saying about bringing an IP into the world. Like it's in a way, it's like a gift to other people. You're making something that they can enjoy, and it's really fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. And just changing lives and whatnot, and just hopefully making people have a good time.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, great. Excited about your show. Excited to see more. So everyone go to, let's see, it was called supportbythesea.com, and you click on support us.
Yeah,
and we're right now by Jesse. Hello, Jesse.
Hi. So I'm over here at Adam School, and I'm very excited to kind of ask similar questions of the creators of MechWest. So let's put that on and take a look at that.
Yep. Yeah. First thing, we're going to show a MechWest short that has not been seen except by members yet. So let's check it out.
Before you show it, it probably will not be on YouTube. So this will probably be the only time that you can watch this on this platform. So,
okay.
Junk mail.
Oh.
Looks like it cut out a little at the end.
Cut out. Anyway, that was
That's amazing. So if you haven't already watched, please watch episode 1 through 3 on YouTube. And then kind of like we talked about with Spice Frontier, that is some of the extra IP or the extra content. But we'll kind of go into that in a minute. But want to kind of get going on the same kind of questions you guys were asking of the other indie creators. Why make your own indie show? Why MechWest?
Well, yeah, you're right. First of all, like that is a short kind of like based on the whole world, but the episodes are like 22-minute standard length episodes. Why make it? So yeah, we have this school, Adam School, which is for learning 3D animation, and we have hundreds of students. Any given time, learning these kinds of skills. So we come up with this showcase every year of animation students. And so if you go to Adam School's YouTube channel, you can see our showcases, and some of them really hit big with millions of views. And then some of the shorts go like ultra viral, getting tens of millions of views. And so it's just a matter of, hey, what else? We have these talented students and graduates. What can we do? Can we do something together? Because all of the assignments are very separate. People do their own clip. They find some funny clip from the web, from a movie, from a TV show, reimagine it as animation, right? But maybe we could do something all together. So we stewed on that for a few years, and finally thought, like, what if we just made a show, our own actual IP. So that's kind of how it started, where we just saw an opportunity of the graduates and the students wanting to do something together.
That's awesome. So what are maybe when you kind of went, okay, we're gonna make this show, why did you guys maybe go the more indie route versus just like, hey, a studio funding it?
Yeah,
it wasn't really our plan, like we just wanted to make something cool, and we just kind of started making it like with no we didn't know if it would end up on a streaming platform or on YouTube. We were just kind of open to whatever.
It's kind of like the wrong way to make, quote unquote, a show, which is you've got an idea, you do some drawings, you maybe do some storyboards, do a little treatment of it, and then you present that to, streaming services or studios, someone who can actually pull it off. and then you wait and see, are they going to let me do my thing? And so we decided to we did both. Basically, we pitched it, we came up with ideas and stuff, but we got it further along. We were, we had the whole basically short length version, and so we decided, well, we're just going to make it, and if whatever it turns into and whatever partners and all that, we don't know, but we're going to do it because we want to, and we can. And so we did it. That's indie, that's independent, filmmaking, and not waiting for permission to do something you want to do. So that's kind of how it started, and why.
Well, and maybe kind of this is a two-part question, because I think this is, if anyone wants to undertake doing something indie, maybe we can do this. So what were some of the toughest parts of the last several years of this project, and any advice for those, maybe some good nuggets for someone who's thinking, maybe I should do this, maybe something kind of you could give as some advice on someone making their own indie project?
There were so many toughest parts. It's hard to pick just one, actually. Toughest times, maybe there were tough times with story where oh dang, do we even have a story that people want to see? We aren't sure. We thought it was, but you get in your head, you think, well, maybe it is, maybe it's only good to me and my family, maybe it's not good to the wider world. And so there were definitely some moments where we're wondering if the story was coming together. We did make a lot of changes, and I don't know. Maybe you can speak to that more before I talk about the technical challenges, which were huge.
Yeah, when we just kind of jumped straight into it, and we tried writing a script once we figured out what the story would be, and I've written stuff before, but really the first try at writing a screenplay, and I co-wrote it, but we didn't know how to make a great TV pacing, so it was super long, and we learned so much over the revisions we did, where we figured out how to make each scene as concise as possible, and try to better characterize each character, give them more of an arc, all that stuff. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I'm glad we had this indie chance to learn all that. I'm glad that we made it a lot better than it would otherwise have been before we released it to everybody.
And for those of you who don't know, you guys are pretty far along in episode 4. And I was wondering, in terms of, and I think this is an important thing, maybe we could talk a little bit more, is about the audience for MechWest. What was it like building the audience from scratch, and how has the audience maybe affected your choices in story or production?
Well, yeah. So we didn't know that we were not initially making this for YouTube at all. In fact, it's kind of like a late. We knew it is good enough. It's something that people reacted well to whenever we'd show it to studios and distributors and stuff. Almost all of them thought really highly of it, and we had some discussions on whether one of them was going to maybe acquire it, but maybe the changes weren't quite what we wanted at that time. And it's like, hey, tell a story and have people hear it.
You are doing something really amazing in that you did come from the animation industry, working at Blue Sky as a character supervisor, and then creating Anim School Studios. What is it like to build an animation team, story, and people maybe don't think about this, and Noah, maybe you could speak to this as well. Voice actors, music, Foley, which is like sound effects. How did you guys figure all that stuff out?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's so hard. So number one, we're super lucky because, like I said, the genesis of this whole thing was that, we have these talented, new graduates in animation who can do amazing things, and so they're just kind of just on in the part of their career where we could actually afford to pay them not below market rates. By the way, I should probably let everyone know, this is not a free project. It's it's all paid. It's just that it's not super high pay because we don't make any money off it. But yeah, that part was great. We have super talented animators and modelers and that. And then, I am the one who sort of oversees the quality because that's, some of my history. And so, oh man, we got this on lockdown. It's like, great. On the other hand, like coming up with, we have to figure out, sound design and all those other things and layout and storyboarding and stuff. Like these are all things that, wow, there's just so much went wrong before it went right on this project.
Yeah, like Jordan said, if you see, I think it was Jordan, the mountain. If you saw the mountain that lay before you before you started, you might not have begun. Maybe it was Nathan said it. Like there's so much.
Is it kind of like that scene in Indiana Jones, like that last one where he has to step out over the ravine and hope, walk of faith? If you, just go, okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's one thing I was going to say earlier, which I forgot. Is just like the technical challenges were huge. Like just setting up like a rigging pipeline into, to get it into the renderer and, render farm. Like we have a small render farm. We use Redshift. And so like just kind of like setting that all up and going was huge, a ton of work. And then on top of that, there are problems that you hit along the way where like, are we going to be able to have 10 people on the screen at the same time? We didn't even know. Will our rendering whole pipeline, will it actually support that? Because it's a bit of a, like it's kind of like a bit of a budget approach to some of the technology wise. Like there isn't a lot of like cloth simulation, that kind of thing. It's sort of like kept in the minimal for for cost. But yeah, we have to reach this high. We want to reach this high bar visually. So yeah, there are many times where people just come back to me and say, "Oh, well, we can't do that. We don't know how to do this. We can't do this." And so it was a huge challenge.
I mean, even what's been on the screen, just technically, just knowing that your small team with the technology you have did this fight scene. It's so complex. There's so many figures. There's so many shots. You have that really awesome, zoom in shot to the sheriff. Just when you guys actually got to this scene, like, was it just like, oh no, why did we let this into the storyboard? Or because you're like, how are we going to figure this out?
Yeah, it took a long time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely moments like that. But yeah, a lot of technical challenges, a lot of days where like, oh, is this even going to work because of various technical challenges? Like that shot we just watched, there were a bunch of lights, and with a lot of renderers, you add more lights. It just like the calculations become really, time intensive and it becomes expensive.
So because you are the CEO of an animation school and you're making your own indie project, and there's, I'm going to bring up this subject. There's a lot of fears in the industry right now. Like, is there any advice you could give to young animators or young creatives that might be feeling a little bit worried about pursuing a career or in animation or art? Like, what would you tell them?
Right. Yeah. I don't know if it's right now like the best for money making or something. Like we're a little bit of a lull industry wise because there's fewer projects than there were a couple of years ago. But if you also notice like which projects are making a ton of money, on Netflix, well, guess what? It's animation. Which movies are being the most successful? Well, a lot of the top movies in terms of making money are animation. So like that's not going away. And once it gets through this hump, there's going to be no change in terms of demand for this stuff. So if you're the kind of person that loves it, then you should do it. And especially, and that's one reason why we kind of turn more to independent, is like just to show like you can make your own thing. So many people just, there's not just being plugged into someone else's machine. There's also like your own stories that you want to tell, and that's it might not look like this, it might not look like a Disney film, but there is that possibility. And so I think if you're driven, if that's like you feel like it's your passion, your calling, your destiny, do it. And we can help you at AM School, but the important thing is like you want to make sure that it's something that you really want to do.
Yeah, you can't really be, beholden to what's going on in the industry. It is like, obviously it will have a big effect on what your career is, but some people have to kind of step up and show how things can change. That's the only way it does change. Maybe right now we're in a slump, but if enough, people with creative ideas come in and just don't worry about it, just do their thing, then that creative energy could be what turns things around.
I really liked in your last conversation about this idea of making something remarkable, right? Like we have this idea, like if I make something really amazing, and MechWest is beautiful, it's remarkable, it's insane that it exists on the budget that you guys were able to create it to make a Disney or Pixar level style thing. But how are some maybe ways that you got people to notice or follow the project, and maybe what are some like lessons or tricks that you've learned about building an audience for those who might be interested in getting people to have buy-in? I guess that's the idea of like you're making something great. How do you get people to care about it, or what are some things you guys have learned?
I guess, first you mentioned cost, and this is the equivalent of say like 4 episodes, which we're about to release episode 4. That's the equivalent of an animated movie right there. And so if you look at like a Disney, Pixar, Sony, etc., DreamWorks, it's going to cost like $100 million, $150 million, $200 million. It's so much money. And so we're operating on a fraction of that budget, like a tiny percentage of that budget. And so it is very, very challenging. But, anyway, I just wanted to let people know, like it's such a challenge to try to equate quality at on a budget. So anyway, what was your other question? Oh, just building the audience.
Maybe some things that now that you're into, you're into episode, 4, maybe some things you kind of found along the way. Because again, maybe you didn't know what was coming when you started, but what are maybe some cool tricks about building an audience, or things you felt like were helpful and that you've done that you felt like was valuable and were able to reach your audience with such a project?
Yeah. So, I mean, no, maybe you can speak to this too, but it's like, we decided like, let's just put on YouTube and let's just build the audience and just work it that way. Well, you're competing against content that takes people almost no money to produce. And so it's so difficult. Then, you have to learn a lot about, publishing on this platform where you need to publish things more often in order to get YouTube to, the algorithm to kind of support you. So one thing we've learned and has worked is, putting out YouTube shorts and content on multiple platforms. And so just to build the awareness, because I feel like when people see, MechWest, a lot of people like it. Like the like ratio to dislike ratio on YouTube is just enormous. It's something like 99% for last episode, and it's just getting people to know about it. A lot of people don't know. So if we can get it in front of people, that's the thing that's the challenge.
Yeah, you just have to persevere really, and don't start making a 20-30 minute episode probably, which is why we're not a great example. But I mean, we've had an Anima School, making showcases and doing all kinds of things. So there has to be some kind of build up to start small.
Yeah.
So.
as an observer of this from Anim School, I would say the way that you guys did go about it made sense based on, having the school and having some really talented graduates. And it's not just that MechWest was created out of vacuum. It's like Dave said, if you go look at the Anim School showcases, they're hilarious and they have millions and millions of views. And comment after comment after comment is, hey, you guys should make your own show. And I think, the opportunity was there, and it's really awesome that Dave decided to take the risk and to go for it. And it's just been super, super cool to see. So I think, from what I'm taking from it is everybody's going to have their own challenges, their own stories, and hopefully some of the things that we're talking about today, and we're about to talk to the awesome folks over at Samurai Blue, is that if you want to make something, the tools and the people that might want to help you make it are there. And so it doesn't mean it's not going to be easy, but I do think some of the things we've talked about today are a real good maybe some shortcut. Maybe you can learn from the mistakes of some of us here, some good advice. But yeah, we're going to add, thank you so much. We'll keep talking about this. Any final kind of words before we?
Just like in terms of advice, is like, don't bite off too much. And, if you can make it much simpler look, there are simpler ways to get your story and your idea out there. So I would take, the most economical way, just that, our resources are access to talent was such that we could make a show that looks like this.
Yeah, it's what people say, MVP, minimum viable product,
Yes.
Try to make. So, okay, we've got Wyatt and Amber here to talk
about. Yeah, welcome, guys.
Samurai Blue.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, we have
we're excited to see your project. It just it has such energy and such a cool look, and so glad to have you here. We ran into you, Wyatt. I don't know if it was you, but we ran into you at Comic-Con, right, in San Diego.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that was amazing meeting you guys there. It was so funny if you weren't there, but they actually had built a little mini version of their main character robot from MechWest, and we saw that guy and we were like, wait a minute, we know this show, and we had to go over and talk to them. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was so cool meeting you, Wyatt. And one of the things that was so fun is we were there with our Pearl actress, and you guys came up and showed us your show. We were blown away, and I actually think because of meeting you was kind of the impetus of what brought us together. We're kind of like, hey, like what if we did our own thing? And that's what's cool too, is I think the spirit of indie, and maybe you could speak to this, Wyatt, is you don't wait for permission to do this stuff. I think if there's any advice we can give someone is, hey, like indie is about being independent. And that's the sucky part and the amazing part, which is everything is up to you. The succeeding and the failure is up to you. But that's really exciting. And maybe one of the scary things I've seen is that there's some really amazing projects that maybe were given to big studios or streamers that were prematurely canceled, like really amazing stories that got stopped because they got put on a back shelf and never to be seen the light of day. So maybe I was wondering if maybe all of you guys could speak to that, the indie thing, the good and bad of that,
Yeah. Before we do go forward, do we want to look at the clip?
Yeah,
let's show people what we're talking about.
I'm so excited to see you guys.
We're jumping ahead, but yeah, let's look at the clip. So super high energy, and so much to say about that.
And
cool.
Maybe first question though, like just so everyone knows, like camera work like that doesn't just happen. That is not easy to do. How did you do it? Who did it?
Oh man, that particular shot, the one that you started on, was a real labor of love, in particular. But it was the way in which we animated. Obviously, like we're only doing like shots and like shot by shot and everything. But there was so much that went into it because we had like the obviously it's car racing. That shot was primarily animated by an animator named Tomas Rosenblatt, and he animated the scene, and I told him just do whatever you want to do, literally anything to make it look cool in the camera. And that is what he excels at. So he took that. He didn't animate with any reference in the scene, only the two cars, and just kind of swirled the camera around, like had them like in the pattern and drifting. And then I got that back from him and I was like, this looks awesome. And then I looked at what he had done, and like the road was at an impossibly steep curve. It bent. Like it literally, the shape of the curve changed as the cars were going along it. The camera was like dipping below where the ground would be. So there was a lot of stuff that had to be fixed and put back together in order to make it work. But animating for camera was really one of the primary like things that I specifically wanted to tackle stylistically. And I think Amber animated on the project. She can speak a little bit more to that in particular in terms of like how that applies to character animation, because it's a very different style that we tried to achieve.
Yeah, the animating to camera was especially one of the big challenges for this. Kind of learning like how far we need to really destroy our characters' faces to make them kind of fit in this anime style we were trying to create. So like in that shot there where she turns her head, I didn't work on that shot, but I know like what we had to do as a team to like rotate like her whole eye socket on her face to put it on the side of her face for those kinds of shots. So it was all the expressions are very handcrafted specifically for the exact camera angle. If you rotate it like 5 degrees, you're gonna see a horror show.
Yeah, I can say that the camera work, I think, might be what impresses me the most, purely because camera work is kind of underrated, maybe. Like people don't think about it, just how, I mean, doing crazy movements like that. If the camera work was bad, I'd be getting sick and throwing up. So it's so good. Instead, it looks like stylish and fun to watch. So that was really well done.
Thank you. Yeah, the cameras were a really fun time to figure out, and a lot of that is having good layout in the beginning, good storyboards, kind of having a plan for what you want to have happen where. But I owe a lot of it just to the animators themselves. Like we had a really great team. And coming back a little bit to what Jesse was talking about, like how like you just can't wait for permission to do something like this. That was my mentality going into the project. And that evolved into a desire to work with people better than me. Because I quickly discovered that like if I were going to do every piece of this as a solo project, which I fully intended to do, not that I intended to do it, but it was the attitude that like even if I am the only one working on this project, I'm going to get it done. And that evolved into realizing that I definitely need more people on this. And if I can get people that are better than me, then it's going to make it better. And they're going to bring their talent forward into the project and really like enhance it and infuse it even more than I could have dreamed.
Totally.
That's one of the best parts about kind of doing these types of projects, using them almost as a networking tool, kind of like, because when you reach out to someone and you tell them like, hey, I have this project, and if they think it's cool, then the likelihood that they want to like contribute a little bit is pretty high. And then you get just a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think we asked yet, like, why did you choose to make it? What does it come from? The idea comes from?
What's the inspiration?
The inspiration, that's two different questions.
Yeah.
But so Amber and I, Amber's been with the studio, Winterstellar Studios, for pretty much since the beginning. Amber was our lead animator on a film that we did as a client project called Colorville. And that one, I think, well, Amber, I want to hear your thoughts on just kind of what that like experience was like, and maybe like because the pipeline was so different.
Oh yeah, that was kind of when we were first dipping our toes into like stylized rendering and animation, but we kind of didn't know what we were doing, and we're just kind of like seeing what could maybe work as we were doing it. But Colorville was a fun time, but we were really we were it was a good time to stew on what we really wanted to do in the future and what we wanted to accomplish in later projects when we had more creative freedom for ourselves.
Yeah, so Samurai Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really like a project that we knew that we wanted to like show off what we were capable of. Because up until then it was a lot of client work where we were kind of bouncing back and forth like we could do this, but like we don't have enough budget, or like I know that we could achieve this look if the runtime was shorter and we could spend more time on each shot. Things like that. So it's that was one motivating factor, and it was a big one to kind of like have a showcase piece for the studio. It really showed what we were capable of, like us and the team. And before Samurai Blue, we were animating mostly in Maya, and then for a lot of our stuff we were bringing it exporting Alembics into Blender, which is a horrible pipeline. Nobody should ever do that.
Terrible. Right. It got us there, but
it got us there, and we did that to take advantage of more stylized rendering tools in Blender. But yeah, I would not recommend it.
Right. So then you wound up just animating in Blender after that, like you.
Yeah, it was kind of a dream of mine to keep everything as much as possible in Blender.
Yeah, and it was good that we made the switch. It was definitely painful for me and every animator that was used to Maya getting switched to Blender.
And then you had to make rigs in Blender, so
yeah, rigs
totally different.
I mean, just the animation tools themselves. I mean, I'm a big proponent of like trying to remain kind of software and agnostic, where you're not like too tied to any one software. But I will say it was definitely a growing pain in light of that, like trying to figure out how Blender's animation pipeline works.
How many people made the show? How many people were involved?
We had, I think in the end we had probably about like 20, maybe almost 30 people contribute to it. And a lot of those people, it probably talking about a core team of around 5, but like a lot of people kind of coming through the doors at very different times. I mean, this project we were in production pretty much for almost 2 years. And we were really just kind of like stewing on it, working on it in our free time whenever we had a chance. Like, and even I would kind of have to drop off of actively working on it for a month or two if I had like work come in, because this was primarily this was completely independently funded with the help of a little bit from Kickstarter, but it really it was the majority just came from my own savings, and it was a project that I just wanted to do for the studio and for like the sake of the project as well. Like the racing cars are cool and we want to make a show about it.
Yeah, that's cool. I was going to ask, like, how'd you pay for it? And so it was a sacrifice of your time and your money and your
and some crowdfunding, right?
A little bit of crowdfunding that helped a little bit. Yeah, that was nice. Gave us just a little extra room.
Great.
That's another thing that is like a whole other project, is just crowdfunding, trying to set that up. And Yeah.
Oh yeah. So when we did the crowdfunding campaign, it was pretty much like on Kickstarter, you have a set amount of time, and like to run the whole campaign, and it really is attention demanding the entire time because it wants you to be like going out and asking for people to like donate, like every single day, and it's like once you're a week out, like you need to, it wants you to push that and everything. And so it is like managing a whole other social media platform. So I couldn't even work on the show. I was just making stuff for that.
You're making like exclusive content for that. Like you made that wild like thing where you comped yourself into a set for the show. And then like I animated like a whole sequence of Yoko just for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into the Kickstarter.
It was a good like testing ground for like what even works for animating this character, but it was definitely it was not going in the show.
Honestly, yeah, because a lot of shows that I've seen that have Kickstarters, they'll completely independently do like a trailer or something first, that totally has the like everything pretty much figured out. And then they'll go to Kickstarter with it, and it will hopefully do really well. But we didn't do that. We first did, or we really kind of didn't have anything other than like a promise. Like we really, please give us money. We promise we'll make something good. We can't show you what it's going to look like in the end, but like, please. And got just like barely enough to make something happen. And
well, you kept your promise.
So.
It looks amazing.
Yeah,
it totally does.
Thank you.
I don't know if we asked yet. What was the toughest part of the whole process, and how many minutes is the finished one? I forget. Is it like it was a little over?
So the finished run time is 8.5 minutes. It's on YouTube already. Like we released it last summer. Straight onto YouTube. You can go check it out. Just Samurai Blue after image and it'll pop up. But it's 8.5 minutes. The hardest part was definitely right at the end. I set a self-imposed deadline for myself. I was like, I'm gonna have this film out by the end of summer. That was last year. And that became a whole slog. I knew we could do it. I knew that the team could pull it together in time, but there were a couple of issues that I ended up having on the post-production side, in the sound department primarily, just where one of our sound designers and music directors wasn't able to really cross the finish line on the project, and so I had to go find a lot of other people to fill that gap on extremely short notice, and that became a lot of late nights making sure that all the sound and everything was put together, because I really I think even especially in animation, those post-production things are super overlooked, and it is true for live action and VFX, where I come from kind of a long time ago, but it's just as true for animation, how important sound is. And I feel like in animation, it's like, I don't want to, it's definitely not easier, but like you have it a little bit simpler maybe because we're designing everything from scratch. Whereas like if you're talking about a live action production, you might have like production audio already, which can fill in a lot of gaps, sure. But a really good production is going to spend a lot of time designing a soundscape. And for us, it was particularly important because we have these recognizable cars. So like the Subaru WRX, people that know that car, that are fans of that, they know what it sounds like. And if we get that wrong, we're going to hear about it. We can't call ourselves a car show if our car does not sound correct. So there was a lot of like attention to detail that went into that. It meant that it was like I was 2 all-nighters in at least before release date, but I made that deadline. I got it in before the end of summer.
It was so impressively done. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have my own answer to that question as well. Just that because I come from just the animation side of this. So for me, the difficult part of that, the most challenging part, was definitely honing in on that that style, going from like learning just typical splined animation in every like standard animation education, going from that to make it look like a 2D drawing through motion, but also not kind of killing the benefits of 3D, because you can just like pose the character like each frame and pretend this is a 2D production, but you lose some of that advantage from maybe working with a 3D rig. So it was finding that sweet spot where it's gaining all the benefits of being 3D and it feels really dynamic and has all that volume, while still feeling like 2D, and then also just the technical process of keeping it in like stepped keyframes, like finding the right most efficient way to do that, because there's like automatic processes to like turn a spline into that, but a lot of times that doesn't work out so great. But then if I don't use any sort of like automatic process like that, then it becomes an issue of, well, now I'm spending like hours on this like 3 frames that I could use a little bit of computer help for to make it feel right. So just finding the balance in all of that, balancing the advantages of 3D and still like trying to find that 2D style, I think was the big challenge with this.
That makes sense.
And for real, props to Amber and the whole animation team, because I didn't have a plan for that. I was just like, I want it to be like stepped, kind of, but we can't do it only on 2s, because we tried that on Colorville. We animated it splined, and then we converted everything to 2s, and it looked horrible because we lost all our keyframes. Like everything just got lost and muddied. And so I was like, I don't know what we got to do, but
it's funny.
Break all the rules. Do anything. Yeah.
Why you're talking about when the car sounds, right? And like people call you out. It reminded me in MechWest episode 1, we had recorded this line where Pico's like, "Hey, hand me that
the oil can.
Hand me that grease gun." But when it came time to render it, like we're going so fast and like everything's so chaotic and like what are we going to put here in his hands?
Yeah, the
what
prop.
do we have? Oh, we have this oil can. Put that in his hands. And so it was just like this quick thing. And I'm thinking like, oh, no one will notice, But of course, we've gotten like 100 comments about the stupid grease gun as actually an oil can.
And like we recorded both because like we didn't know what it would look like, but then
we did.
We liked the one take better, and we're like, well, we'll just make it a grease gun, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of those silly things, and I've realized, over this, it's how crazy it is how every part of production like has to have total focus on it, or the whole thing can. Not that one thing made it fall apart, but it's has the potential to make things, shaky or potentially fall apart. From scripting to storyboarding to animating to rendering and sound design, all that. Like every part, you can't let up anywhere, or else something's going to suffer. It's not going to be as good as it could have been.
So true.
Yeah.
And yeah, what are your parting thoughts or / advice you have for people like they want to make their own story? What would you tell
them? Yeah, don't wait for permission.
Yeah.
Do it. If you can, just do it. Animation takes a lot of money. If you want to hire people to like work on it with you, it takes a lot of time. Especially if you don't have the money, it's going to take extra time because you'll be filling the gaps yourself. But if you want to do it, then you have to do it, because especially for me, like the reason we made this project is because like the work we were getting at the studio just wasn't what I wanted to do. And no one was going to give us the opportunity to do what we wanted to do unless we could show that we could do it. And we put this together like on our own time, over a lot of time, making sure that it was the best possible representation of what we're actually capable of. And now we are getting the projects we want to do.
Yeah.
So it pays off a little bit.
What is the future of your studio and Samurai Blue? Is there going to be more? Are you focusing on other things?
Yeah, we want to make more Samurai Blue. We've got a whole season planned out, and we want to talk to streamers, producers, distributors, production studios, just partners. We've got a pitch deck all lined up. Pilot episode is written. The season is planned out. Bible's ready to go. Like, we just need to find the people to talk to. Basically, we're not talking to anyone yet. We need to find them.
Okay. Well, that is so cool. Yeah, very inspiring, guys. Thank you. And that's time to bring everyone in. Wow. Yeah, it's been so interesting to hear all the stories and the commonalities and the differences. And thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Let's do we have, by the way, do we have Clifford?
I don't see him here.
I think he had out. We were about to have one of the co-writers pop in too. But
might have had a mic.
Back in, we'll add him. Yeah,
might have had a mic issue or something, but
I didn't know Clifford would be here. So if he comes in, then he can join. He's the co-writer of MechWest. So anyway, yeah, welcome back the people who didn't have to leave. And just let's do. Oh, here's Clifford. So if you want to, pick out different questions that maybe one of us could address. Clifford is the co-writer. I didn't know you're going to be here, so welcome, Clifford. You can now answer any of the questions that we were asked.
I know. I think you guys covered everything really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a genuine question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's for Wyatt mostly. Is what you guys use like similar to like Dylan Goo's work, if you're familiar at all, or?
Yeah. We referenced a lot of Dylan Goo's work, and kind of looked at what he was doing and what a lot of other people in like the 3D anime space were doing. I actually work pretty closely with Dylan these days. But at the time that I was making Samurai Blue, I was just kind of looking from afar and being like, what are they doing over there? And then I was like, I think we can do it better. and then obviously like our own scrappy version of it, right? But yeah, it was a lot of referencing things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Arc Systems Works, another reference, huge. At gaming. We even looked at there was a Amber, what else was the Initial D, obviously, like camera work.
Yeah, Initial D, Redline.
Redline, yeah.
Redline. Yeah. So much Redline. You showed that to me when we were like in the lead up to it, and I like lost my mind.
I was like, Amber, you need to come over and we need to watch Redline. Because you need to understand what we're making here.
It wasn't even that. I was over at your place for some other reason. You just grabbed me and was like, okay, we're watching Redline now. I was like, all right, I guess we're watching Redline now. And then I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I want to bring this one up because I know some of you guys did use Kickstarter, or there's some other funding things. Maybe we could talk about Kickstarter, or maybe just talk about, for those of you who did set up a Kickstarter, what were some of the first few steps, or why did you even decide to do that kind of method?
It's just like, this is the indie problem. Like, how are we going to do this with so little money? Like, we bid off a lot, and but we wanted to look really good, and so can we get the public to kind of join us? Well, it's just really hard. We tried. We reached our Kickstarter goal, but it wasn't a lot, and then you got a lot of work to do it. I don't know. If it was really in the end, like, would I do it again? I'm not sure, but we did at least, bring people into our camp of, hey, do you want this to be a show?
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of what Wyatt was talking about, is if you are going to do a Kickstarter, know that it's going to be almost a full-time job when it's going. Yeah. You gotta like create merch or like stretch goals and stuff for your highest thing. So it's almost like you have to become like a little manufacturing studio of stuff that you didn't even have created. I know that Dave and co made a bunch of 3D prints of kind of little toys that you guys sold that are super cute.
Oh,
So that was one of the like stretch. So that's a Kickstarter. That's a Kickstarter goal right there, stretch goal. So Wyatt, you're talking about how you're like, oh crap, I gotta, you know,
Ghost one that never saw.
oh, there's a ghost one.
That's so cool.
I don't know why this guy got made, but he's so cool. He's like,
I don't remember if that was a printing error or what. I think he just did that for fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never seen that, Dave. This is an exclusive.
Cool.
This is like the prototype, like Boba Fett toy that's worth like $1 billion, right?
Yes, the rare one in the box.
And this one's for sale for
We're
$10,000.
still having the missile that kids could choke on. You know, that's why.
If we make 6 die at some point, he needs to become a ghost for sure.
Spoiler.
Sold.
No.
Sold.
I have a question for Dave about your Kickstarter because you started it before the first episode launched. Am I right? Why did you choose to do that?
I don't remember.
the crowdfunding.
I think I think we had a like a teaser out or something.
Okay.
And so it was like, oh, is this far enough along that people will care enough, you know, to back it? And so to some extent, yes, but yeah. So I think merch in general becomes, you know, it's the way that most properties make money by far, like outstripping, you know, all the box office and all that stuff for movies and all the other revenue. But you just have to be huge first. And so if you're not, and that's the whole problem with indie, you're not huge. Yep. And so it's going to be, I think the success is going to be limited. So I don't know. It's like, you have to have millions of followers, and then, you know, then all of a sudden they want to buy stuff.
I think a great starting point too is like, I think we were saying earlier, where it's like graphic novels and whatnot, I think are good because it introduces an audience to characters to like to want to be a part of and to see more of, and like it also sells itself, right? Where it's like where animation is like, unless it's a movie with a movie ticket, it's like it's harder to like generate back like what you're putting online. And so it's like, I think that is like a good starting point to amass that following, and then like then you can like move forward with the next step, and then like get bigger. It's like it helps.
And so many shows kind of started off that way as graphic novels, you know.
Almost like every manga and stuff too. Like just like are all like, that's where they started.
It's true.
This is one I want to bring up. I mean, let's talk about software. We'll start with Blender first. You know, everyone's talking about Flow, and how that had a huge impact Oscars last year. But you know, especially those of you who did use Blender, or we could talk about Unreal as well. I'd say let's talk about Unreal. Let's talk about Blender. Let's talk about Redshift.
Tell me about Unreal, because I think it looks really cool. Like there's some really cool stuff I've seen with Unreal lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe Kayla. Let's just kind of go in order of let's talk about because everyone is so interested in maybe doing indie, and maybe the tools are more available now. So maybe let's start with Unreal.
Yeah, we used Unreal. We used a combination of Maya for animation and Unreal for shot building. And we did a few shots of animation in Unreal, but mostly it was done through Maya and then loaded into Unreal. But the difference, or the thing that I think people had to get used to, was usually there's like a generalist that comes up, and it's like, do you go the generalist route, or do you find an Unreal expert who knows the engine? Maybe they came from a gaming background. And so it's not, I don't know what the answer is yet, but that's still kind of the early stages of which direction can it go. And I don't know too much about the process. I know that we use 2D layers and things to get us to the end line. So it wasn't a full like, oh, we just click a button and then it just works, unfortunately. But yeah, as now that the pipeline's been built and all of the mistakes were made, now the second episode or second project we do in that pipeline should be way easier. We didn't use any Blender. We're not against Blender, but we didn't use any Blender, and we did not use any red line, as far as I know.
Redshift.
Redshift. Sorry.
Well, I believe you.
It's a Maxon product, like and Cinema 4D. And what?
Unreal is awesome. If I can just jump in and piggyback off that, I don't use it that much at all. I'm 99% of my time is in Blender, but the little bits of time that I do get to use Unreal, and the just what I see them doing, I think that Unreal is like on the bleeding edge of 3D technology.
Yep.
Like there is no other software in the industry that can do what they do at the level that they do. And it's
agreed.
Really, really tempting to go try it out more.
But now
also
they're trying to end run around the digital content software by making it so people animate in Unreal Engine, which most people don't, but there are a couple places that do.
yeah.
One day.
I think it was the only project I know of that was fully animated in Unreal is the secret level episode Unreal Tournament. And that was kind of mandated by Epic, as I recall, like as part of the deal for the episode, because like it's their game, it's their property, Unreal Tournament. So of course they're going to make Blur animate in Unreal and invent a whole pipeline for it. I heard that it was excruciating, but that it's getting better. But the crazy thing about Unreal is that it is so angled at the virtual production VFX space of like segment of the industry as opposed to the animation segment. Which means that a lot of those specialists that like Kayla was talking about, they can kind of charge whatever they want and they get it because there's so few Unreal experts out there. Like because you're talking about with virtual production opened up a huge section of the VFX industry for like commercials and everything to go really fast to move post tasks to pre-production. So like it's kind of a whole different thing now from just animation and what we do.
And Georden, we don't neglect you. Like, what was the decision, the 2D route, like what software you're using and what would you recommend to those? I mean, I love 2D to death. I love 3D, I love 2D to death. So it's really cool to have your show included here. And I'm sure there's lots of people interested in kind of how you decided to go about making what you're going to make it in is really an important decision.
Oh yeah. And we dipped into, I was familiar with Animate like going into it, but I was like, I need to like dip my toes into something else. And so we went into Toon Boom, like Harmony, and they like it just made things like so much like smoother and nicer. So like Toon Boom Harmony or Toon Boom is like a great like reference to use like for animation. Lately though, I've dipped my toes into Moho, I believe it's called, which like Cartoon Saloon and them use, and it's extraordinary. And not only that, but it's like very affordable and like a one-time purchase kind of thing. So it's like if you really want to like get your bang for your buck, it's like that program does amazing things that like I had like no idea was like it just like streamlines it in a way where it's like the way they set up their rigs and like you can have like separate like blinking rigs. I just like the little trigger of like swiping on and off for like a blink or for a mouth and whatnot. And it's like I like the layout for the rigs a little bit better. It feels a little bit more approachable. And they and not only that, but it's like you can do traditional too, and like you can only affect certain layers and whatnot. And you can select which ones you want to like alter and all of that, and it's just laid out very nicely. And I'm like, this is like this I feel like is where things could actually be going.
There's really
Moho
impressive.
I do have recommend that too.
There's really impressive stuff made in Moho.
Yeah,
definitely.
And you can use textures and stuff too, like crazy textures to get like an almost 3D feel, but like not like, but still keep it like 2D hand drawn.
Keep on.
I was going to say, if you use Toon Boom, is it easy to use once you switch, or is it a totally different learning?
I'd say like, so it's like if you know most like at least basic animation software and principles, it's like you'll be able to pick it up. Like Toon Boom also has like layouts almost, so it's like if you're used to one, like you can use that as like as an option to be like you're used to this. Here's the key commands to like do this and this. Nice. Like so that made it like really convenient and easy to use. So I do recommend both. It's like Toon Boom is also extraordinary and like definitely did some incredible stuff too. So both of those programs.
Clifford, do you see any questions out there that you could answer that pertain to MechWest? Your experience.
I'm having a little technical difficulty, so I'm like listening from the YouTube live stream and like watching on this thing here. So I might have missed a couple of the MechWest questions that are out there. But the one thing that has actually been on my mind throughout watching this live stream is just the importance of telling stories that you are really, really passionate about, especially in a time like this, and why. I mean, a lot of you guys have, I think everybody here has talked about this in some aspect, but in a time when like studios are being bought by bigger studios who are being bought by like tech, it's like so much of the art and the passion and the love is kind of lost in the, is this going to make money? Is this show going to get canceled after one season that everybody loves? And the stories that always make the most impact are the ones that are just so driven by passion. And with the tools that are coming out, like we've talked so much about the software too. Moho is really cool. I've been learning about that recently. It's kind of harder, but also easier for anybody who is super passionate about a story to get it done. And indie is the way that I really believe you should go. If you are passionate about something, find other people who are passionate. That is going to be something that breaks through and makes a difference in the world and in people. And any way that you can get it out there, if you have something that you feel strongly, like it's been said, don't wait for permission. I would even say don't even like plan on trying to go with some of these big guys. Just do it yourself. It's gonna be awesome. And don't get discouraged. I know there's a lot of people that are here right now, or that will hopefully see this, that may feel like things are too hard, or that there's too many like roadblocks. Just go for it. Like you can do it, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so cool. And that is what the world needs right now, in like the AI slop that is, continually coming out now, and like the corporate soulless stuff that's also coming out now. Like, do your thing. You can do it. Please do it, because I want to see.
I think that's what's been fun about talking about the software. And the reason that we're talking about it might sound like too technical or boring, but the reason we're talking about software is that it's more accessible than ever. The processing power is so cheap, even though it's expensive. These are expensive projects. Dave's talking about render farms, and there's these softwares you need to buy. But really, right now is such a great time to be an artist. It sounds really scary. We're hearing a lot of news about, the industry's bad. For who? Who is it bad for? Maybe the old guard it's bad for, and maybe they're scared of what's coming because of stuff like Flow, because of people like us taking the chance to do it. And maybe we haven't for our labors yet, but I really think if we band together, that we can get these things going and we can support each other. And these are things people want to watch. They just maybe didn't have that access. So we need to make our voices heard. I am going to give a plug for Anim School this question. So, are there pathways for animators that don't have access to a traditional education system? And by not having access to art college, are they at a disadvantage? Looking for anecdotes and opinions. Okay, you 100% can learn how to be an animator on your own. You could find a mentor. I'm going to give a plug for Anim School in that we hire working professional animators from major studios and indie spaces where you can just have a mentor an instructor who kind of can help you kind of leapfrog ahead. That's kind of what Anim School is about, is how we can get you skilled up so you can have these skills to make your own projects. So if you're interested about being with other creators, other animators, definitely take a look at Anim School and other online places. We'd love to have you learn with us, and we're really, really passionate about that. So definitely want to bring that up. So I'm glad you brought that up as a question.
Yeah, I feel strongly about what you were saying too before, which is we need to all band together. Everyone making independent animation, we need to support each other. We need to shout out each other on social media. How often do you find out the people saying I didn't know your show existed? And so if we all come together and help promote, I think it will really benefit, and we want to be a part of that.
I will say this, meeting Wyatt and your team at Comic-Con. That's why Comic-Con was cool. We were we don't know what's going to happen at Comic-Con, but we know we're going to meet some other really cool creators. Clifford and I were talking about this too. Just meeting people that were doing indie, and then I will say, as soon as I got back from Comic-Con, I went on YouTube and somehow Spice Frontier showed up on my feed. And I immediately was like, Dave, have you seen this? He's like, yeah. And like, I watched all of it and it just blew my mind, especially just the colors, everything blew my mind.
You know, I assumed that you knew about it.
I didn't.
You assume that everyone has seen what you've seen, but you have to tell people about it.
This is what made me mad about it, actually, is that I feel like some of these shows are being artificially hidden from me, because if they were on Netflix, or they were, when I'm sitting down with my kids and we just turn on, Disney, or we turn on Netflix, and it's like, oh, this is what's available to us. And somehow, probably just from maybe looking at more indie stuff, searching for any animation, maybe it was fed to me. Maybe I finally saw Kayla's awesome thumbnail. It never shown up to me before. And we're literally working on another indie show, and we're being hidden from each other. So this is the crazy thing, that we're literally being hidden from each other. It's just nuts.
I think there's also like positivity in terms of the potential, and it is something that is new, I think, to this industry, at least from what I've seen and from what I've heard from others who have made works with the studios before, is the potential to set the standard and to finding kind of ownership back with like the creator again, and ownership with your work, and being able to properly, hopefully down the road, it's like as we kind of grow and are in this kind of new territory, but to monetize and make a stable a setting for ourselves as the people who build these worlds and tell these stories, and that is something I think that needs to find its way back into like the norm, and it's like that it means a lot to me too.
Yep.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. If you have any final parting thoughts, or speak up now. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up and just wait and see.
Well, I'll jump in real quick just to give a last shout out. If you want to learn more about Spice Frontier, go to spicefrontier.com. There's tons of information. You can read the full novel that's there for free on the website. So if you want to get deep into the lore, that's the place to go.
That's a great way. Everybody shout out your project. Wyatt, where can they find your show?
Yeah, where can they?
We're on YouTube, Samurai Blue After Image, on the Winterstellar Studios YouTube channel. You can also go to winterstellarstudios.com, and you can see some of our other projects there, both on our YouTube and our website. Definitely, we have some merch. We have t-shirts that are super cool. And we've got some other little things on a Gumroad page and it's all linked from our YouTube, so you can just go check that out. You can also support us on Ko-Fi. Every little bit helps. We're just trying to make noise right now.
Yeah, and I know that Nathan's not here, but everybody you should just kind of keep, in the news. Just look up Forevergreen as it's doing its circuit, as it's, it's just a beautiful, beautiful animation. So definitely support that wherever you can. And then Georden.
So you can find our pilot, Port by the Sea, on YouTube, and you can just go to portbythesea.com to find anything else really you need, from supporting us to the people who worked on it, to really all of it. So it's a nice little hub.
Great.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. And for MechWest, on YouTube. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, if you stay tuned, we'll talk more in the future about where you can see future episodes of MechWest.
Yep. They are coming. Yeah. Things are ramping up. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining. This was great. Group hug. I loved it. Awesome. And let's do it again. We want to celebrate indie animation. So thanks everyone.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
All right. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.